Hi, this is Nikki. I'm here with Scot Safon in Atlanta at CNN. Scott, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. We just have some questions for you about social media. How do you interact on social media?
Well, I actually interact in social media in like three different ways. One is me, Scott, and I, stay connected with people from high school, and I stay connected with news in the in the media industry and the news and information industry because I, just trade stuff with colleagues in the industry and trade gossip with friends that I know from my past. I interact on social media as a parent because I have two kids, one of whom is an older teenager. So I'm a lot on social media watching what she's doing and watching what the kids are saying. And then I also play a lot on social media as a media professional because my role is the chief marketing officer at CNN. So I work on CNN US television, and I work on CNN.com, and I work on CNN International, and CNN in Espanol. So I'm kind of monitoring social media and how the news conversation is going and how CNN is in that news conversation everywhere.
And what kind of policy do you have here for social media with your employees?
We have a lot of different policies. One relates to how our journalists represent themselves on social media, and we want them to represent themselves on social media, but as journalists. So we encourage them to keep the social media world updated on their progress on stories, but also at the same time. We have some policies about making it clear when you're speaking with your own opinion versus speaking for CNN. So like every news organization, we're struggling with this all the time. What's the best? What is the appropriate parameters to put on people when they are using social media? Because it would be understandable if somebody couldn't separate an individual's opinion versus, maybe mistaking it for the opinion of the organization they're working for.
Right.
So with a news organization, it's particularly important to make that separation.
Now, how has CNN's early adoption of social media affected the other Turner brands?
I think the other Turner brands are very excited about what CNN does on social media. They've seen our partnership with Facebook. They've seen us do partnerships with YouTube, and they've seen stuff play out on Twitter with us that has sort of intrigued them. But I think the rest of the media industry has gotten kind of intrigued by it too. And inside CNN, people are very intrigued by it. I think we see the most active social media conversations going on based on from CNN and in the world of Turner Sports, so with the NBA and NASCAR, we see a lot of very active social media stuff going on there. And then in one of the other Turner brands is Adult Swim, and Adult Swim is crazy all over social media. So. But the thing about this is that, it's because Adult Swim, sports stuff, news stuff. I mean, it's because the customers want that. It's that the public wants to be talking in social media about those things. It's very hard to inject and create conversations about stuff that people don't want to discuss that way.
Right. Now, what's the future of iReport and citizen journalism in regard to CNN?
Well, my dream is that iReport really becomes the preeminent brand in citizen journalism. I think it is the preeminent brand in citizen journalism, but I want it to be even more so. I mean, I want us to be, dedicated to the preservation of old citizen journalism that existed before iReport existed, that somebody might be discovering in the trunk of their, in an attic in a trunk that their grandparents had. They're like, oh my God, my grandfather was there when, at JFK's funeral. Oh my God, they had a picture of that. I mean, I want iReport to start gathering all of that stuff from history, but that's a longer term project.
Why do you think citizen journalism is so impactful? Why are people so excited about that?
I think it's funny. I think citizen journalism has always been a very, we never called it citizen journalism, but when the Zapruder film was shot at Kennedy's assassination, or when somebody scribbled down an eyewitness report of something that they witnessed, during World War I mean, that was all citizen journalism, and it just wasn't called that, and there was no central place to collect it, and, there was a notion in the past that journalism should be left to the journalists, and everything else was just, something that happened.
less valid somehow.
Yeah, and just not legitimate as journalism. It
Right.
was just wow, that's what the victim said, but the victim is reporting on the
Right.
crime sometimes. So I think it's only been in the last in the most recent couple of decades where we've sort of started realizing that is actual journalism too.
Now, what do you see as having the biggest impact on social media in regard to new technology, like the iPad, for instance?
Well, I think it's just the fact that everybody. Well, I think the biggest impact is coming from the fact that kids are walking around with phones that they automatically think of as publishing devices and recording devices and sharing devices. I think everybody has that technology, but I think as people grow up in it, they just use it automatically.
Right.
So my kids are recording, sharing, publishing constantly, and they don't even think it's remarkable. So that's what the whole culture is going to be. And 10, 15 years from now, that's everybody. So I'm just trying to get to that point where I'll see something happening and I'll not only capture it on my BlackBerry or some other device I might have, but my first thought will be, oh, I've got to post this, or I've got to share this, or everybody should see this, or whatever. And then I see that somebody else resent it to somebody else, and I'll get a response from somebody in Australia, like, I love that picture of the snowstorm in Atlanta. I'm like, you're kidding me. Like, so that's extraordinary to me. But it's not dramatic. It's not the most revolutionary technology. I think it's the most pervasive technology now. But now it's in everyone's hands, and people are growing up with it, and it's just second nature to them. I was on the street corner and somebody said, I don't know where, on the phone with somebody, I don't know where I am. Can you give me directions? Hold on. Then clicked a picture of something and sent it. And then, oh, great, thanks. And I was like, I can't believe that exchange just happened in front of me,
Now, what's your favorite piece of tech? You mentioned a BlackBerry. Are you always all over your BlackBerry? Like, what's your favorite?
I'm trying to become less enamored of my BlackBerry, but is my favorite thing. I've yet to be captivated by my iPhone or I have an iTouch, or I've been seeing the iPad stuff looks kind of interesting to me, but I'm always going to want to read a book. I'm always going to want to hold a newspaper.
Right.
I'm going to
The ceremony of it.
and the physical, experience I kind of
Right.
like. But I'll be that old guy who does like my parents don't use an ATM card because they're suspicious of the computers.
Okay.
My equivalent will be that I'll never use probably one of those electronic readers because I just want to hold the thing.
Did you hear that, Steve Jobs? Yeah.
No, Mr. Jobs
No,
is
just
is
kidding.
is he knows far better than I do what
No,
people
just
want.
kidding.
The old Luddites are the ones who are going to still be holding newspapers.
Where are you most likely to be found? Can people find you on Twitter or Facebook? What's your favorite spot?
Uh, Lurking everywhere, but more likely on Facebook than that. But I do have a Twitter account. I was in every once in a while. I'll get very, very, very excited about something, and I'll frantically update something on. I'll be sending out tweets on Twitter, and then I'll go radio silent for like 2 months. So I'm a really unreliable person to follow on Twitter. But Facebook, I stay pretty up to speed on stuff.
Great. Thank you so much.
Oh,
So nice
thank
to
you.
meet you.
Good. I'm curious to hear what other people wound up saying to these
Yeah.
questions. They're good questions.
Thanks so much.